also believe the moon is a created structure, like they grabbed it from somewhere, who knows, and put it there. I mean, you don't have to take my word for it. Hello, and welcome to my truck and my channel. Today I'll be telling a story. It's actually less a story and more, it's kind of like a story. From a pretty early age, I've been fascinated with history, to the extent I actually took an elective class in junior high school to take more history, which was like, you really didn't have a lot of options in junior high school like that. Once I got a hold of the internet, I really, and not just like recent history, like history, right? From my research, I hold some views about how things are and how they got here and all this stuff, right? One of the biggest things that I've come to know is that there was civilizations here, and about 12 or 13,000 years ago, some cataclysms happened, and it set the clock back on this planet. So we have all kinds of evidence of that all around the world. These megalithic rock structures that are literally all around the world. In most of the cases of these, like, we currently as humans can't even do that with those rocks. It's totally impossible that these ancient civilizations that come from these areas, like the people of Easter Island, the people of Machu Picchu area, all over Central America, all over the Middle East, okay? So people that come from these areas didn't have the technology to do, and this rock work is mimicked all over the world. Pretty obvious to me. Then that just leads into how we ended up with religion. I mean, like in Turkey and France, and like there's some cave systems that are cut out of pure rock that just go down. They don't even know how to date these things. And they connect underground and could hold like tens of thousands of people. I mean, it's actually just amazing. It looks like whoever was here, our ancestors, saw this destruction coming, got underground, rode it out for what's been said is like almost 2,000 years. The fact that humans came out of caves, but before that, we were out and about doing stuff we can't even do today. And those events, they've been said it was like comets or asteroids or something like that, which has happened over and over and over again, right? I believe that that's the reality, okay? And then all these people came out of caves, and there was stuff, and there is a whole other type of human as well. It's big head humans, humanoids, whatever you want to call them. They came out of the caves, they found skeletons of these big head things. Some of these big head things lasted until like 1,000 years ago, I think. They have record of them. And they were apparently a peaceful kind of people, and they just got hunted down and hunted down. All these people come out of these caves, and it's like, holy cow, look at these rocks. Look at it. That are built into these structures, and people are like, whoa, who did that? All around the world, they all came to the same conclusion. Some gods did it. Some people that are more powerful than us. That's the conclusions. And they're coming out of the caves. Now, I look at this, you probably had some people that were like, got put down in caves, and there was like education and traditions were passed on and all this and blah, blah, blah. But then you had other people that just, just randomly survived the event, got into some cave somewhere, they didn't really, and they could have also been like different types of people. They could have been still like we have today on Earth. We still have tribes that are living the same way they've lived for 30,000, 40,000 years or some shit, right? So that stands to reason that that would be the reality then as well. So you have some people that are really advanced and others that are not. So the advanced people go underground in a kind of ordered way. And then, so we have evidence, because all of a sudden we have this Sumerian culture that just pops out of nowhere, right? They were coming up out of the caves and just doing, the best with what they had. They already had addition knowledge that had been passed down. There's even maps that are drawn off earlier maps that show the Earth in a whole, they knew about stuff. You had the people that were just, coming up out of the caves, and you had the people that were, that weren't too in, that were just in the caves because they had to be. Then the world got repopulated, and all these people, they're trying to explain, there was some people that probably knew, but they knew it in a way that it was so removed from their reality. I mean, you only can be told something used to be like this, but your reality is like live in a cave. You never see the sun, you never see anything, I mean, the evidence shows it was like a couple thousand years, because it was actually more than one event, like 2 comets hit or something like that. So even if people went in with this amazing knowledges, technologies and all that, I mean, if you're down in this cave for a couple thousand years and you have absolutely no way to like practice stuff, right? We can meld rocks with sound or whatever it is they could do that shit with. But they never were able to just keep doing it because they were down in these fucking caves. You just couldn't do it down there for whatever reason. Sure, they world tradition, but eventually everything got lost because these people were just like, whatever they took down with them lasted for however long it lasted. But then a couple thousand years, I mean, you think about that much time living in caves, literally down in caves. That is just like, it reset society. They came back out, and now you got a bunch of people trying to explain all this shit, and they don't have science, they don't have anything, and so they come up with these stories of gods and all this stuff, and this is why we have religion. I believe there's something going on that has not yet been explained, there's a seed in religion, but it has very little to do with any religion. And here we are today, just waiting for the next asteroid to set us back. Now, I also believe the moon is a created structure, like they grabbed it from somewhere, who knows, and put it there. I mean, you don't have to take my word for it. I've been watching on that ship for a long ass time. I've been following hollow moon information. I think the best is the universe inside you has all the information compiled in one nice video. So, and I like that, information will come out and you just get a little bit here, and then it's like you try to find out more and more and more. And you get a little bit, and then finally somebody that has skills. I mean, the people behind some of these YouTube channels, they have skills. Totally believe that the moon, whether it's a hollow machine or if it's just a rock that if the same people that could meld rocks, like all these megalithic structures that I'm talking about, if the same people could be on the moon, and they could make rock turn to whatever, and that could be how the moon is hollow, or it could be literally a giant machine. There's so much oddness with the moon. Okay, so that's my perception of ancient history. My perception of the history that really affects our day-to-day lives over the last 100 years. All the big stuff is the things that have shaped the planet into what we have today, which this capitalist freaking craziness is this concept by this one guy, basically. A Jewish guy, had 5 sons, sent them out That's what created the world stock market type stuff. Fractional reserve banking. And that's the Rothschilds. Pretty sure that was the Rothschilds. Yeah, pretty sure. That was a bad thing for the world. The World Bank's Federal Reserve, that was a huge coup against the United States people. And I think that was the first real big coup against the United States people. Then you had a lot more coups all stemming from that. Once those banker people got their greedy little talons into the coffers and into the governments of how they paid and how they worked, that was the start of the end. So they drew us into World War I. Shortly after that, they were able to pull that off. The whole Federal Reserve debt. World War I, there's another coup against the people. Listen to what Smedley Butler has to say. War is a racket, it's a scam, rich people pulling it on the poor people. Elements of United States and other countries financed Hitler. He got out of control and then he escaped to Argentina. I think that aliens helped the Nazis, and that's where it really becomes bizarre. Is there like these really mean aliens that are, siding with the worst of the worst? Like, how did that happen? Like, how did the aliens choose the Nazis? Because there's been more than one Nazi that said that we had help from people from other worlds. Straight up said this, right? That's just bizarre, It's like there's some aliens that have just a little bit more smarts than we do, but there's something wrong with them maybe that they can't, I don't know. It stands to reason though, when you think about how, warring peoples throughout ages and all this shit, how they, try to pit each other against each other so they can come in and take over. I don't know. That's supposedly the big final conspiracy thing is going to be like for the war machine to just, like they've pitted us against each other worldwide for centuries, and slowly but surely, like we're waking up and not falling for this war shit. Well, some of us. The final threat would be this mean aliens come and we got to fight off the mean aliens. But really, it's going to be them. Like they have this all set up just to keep their power going. It remains to be seen. I believe there is aliens. So that means there could be good or bad aliens. Their aliens' perception of what is good and bad could be a completely different thing than ours as humans. So aliens helped the Nazis, but not good enough apparently, unless you believe that, the Nazis just kind of moved to the United States and just kept doing the same shit, which a lot of people think that's kind of the case. But then moving forwards, we have really the most devastating, the Federal Reserve, devastating. But we had a president that was going to turn this around and was, going to possibly end that. And then they ended him. So that then was another coup against the people of the whole world, really. A trajectory that the Kennedy Peace Initiative would have set us on. Kennedy didn't want us in Vietnam. Although you could totally find, without any, and this is propaganda, calling Vietnam Kennedy's war, when the reality is Kennedy didn't want a thing to do with it. He had spent time in Vietnam, he knew better than this, and he was an anti-war in Vietnam. If you want to see the best breakdown of the Kennedy assassination, there's a movie called Everything is a Rich Man's Trick. That movie outlines the Kennedy assassination in such detail, real detail, what really happened. Is the Bruder tape was edited, Kennedy was assassinated, and then we went down this road of war, and then we have another that happens, and that is the Reagan coup. George Bush had okay, so you go back to George Bush Sr.'s dad, Prescott Bush. He helped finance the Nazis. Yeah, look that shit up. His bank, Union Bank, was taken over taken from him for financing the Nazis. Then his son does a coup on Kennedy. So I believe 100% that Bush Sr. was involved in the assassination of JFK. No doubt in my mind. Okay? So then, fast forward to Reagan, I believe 100% that was George Bush again. He had told Reagan to do something, or maybe he didn't. Maybe he just planned all along to have him assassinated so he could be president. But so there was another coup. Maybe there was something they wanted Reagan to do. I also think they slipped him a Mickey that gave him Alzheimer's. That's when the Coosters, because that's what it was, the Kennedy Coosters, they didn't really have much power over, I mean, they had a lot of power at that time, not as much as they had after the Reagan assassination. Obviously Bush Sr. won's fucking presidency. I mean, at that point, their lock on deep state, I mean, was solidified. Like, there was no ousting them because they were locked in. And they were so locked in, that's how they were able to get the Gore coup. The Gore coup could have only been accomplished by the fact that they had already pretty much got themselves so on lock. Now, Clinton, which I voted for, I was like totally duped with everybody else. Oh my God, the president went on MTV. This is our guy. He's gonna legalize weed. That's what I thought, right? The whole inhale thing, I thought he would just be like, fuck it, we're done. No, I was totally wrong. Clinton was a total CIA asset. All the CIA cocaine was landing in the state where he was governor while he was governor, and he's been tied to all this stuff. So you got Coosters from JFK, right? And those Coosters included the vice president that then became president. Can't remember his name. He was in on it. Then Nixon. Nixon was like Prescott Bush's right-hand man. He was on the Coosters team. Then we get the guy that took over for him, but whatever. Obviously Coosters team, but then we get Carter. Now during Carter, they really went after the CIA more that's ever happened, but by that time, basically, those people had solidified their control and power and diversified it so much to where, take MK Ultra, for example, and MK Ultra is how they killed off a lot of their enemies, how they killed off JFK's little brother, Bobby. The CIA killed that woman and pinned it on the other brother, Kennedy, to kind of make it so he couldn't do anything. George Bush Jr. helped kill JFK Jr. You can watch the movies Dark Legacy and Dark Legacy 2 if you'd like to. That was the CIA, that Cooster CIA crew working for female Clinton because she was running against that dude, the state level stuff, right? We just keep having these coups that keep putting the wrong people in power. Now, I think Obama was, he's on that team. I mean, that guy, you don't get to be that rich, that smart, get into that position. I think that's where our world's at, is that we have right-wing, extremely fascists, in the same crew that started the drug war. You know, I bet you could trace them right back to the same people that tried prohibition, American fascism. That is what I believe. That's how I believe things have gone, how I believe things are going. Why? Right? I welcome your questions. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. Like and subscribe, and have a great day.